This significant of a development from Cooper and the amount of time that it happened in is mind-blowing. What I'm about to show you is a shooting progression that few players ever go through, let alone in a year and a half to 2 years like Cooper did. And I'll go as far as to say that if he got a second attempt at one of the most famous shots in NCAA history and he could shoot it today, I think he'd make it. But first we have to look at what his shot looked like a couple years ago. There are a few things that jump out at me right away. First, his base is far too wide, and one of the biggest indicators of that is the fact that his feet come in after he releases the ball. That's his body subconsciously bringing his feet to more natural position, which is like shoulder width apart. For this next clip, just ignore the fact he's hitting a three on one of the best defenders in the world, but there's another huge mechanical issue. Look how far his elbows are flared. You want that right elbow to be as parallel with the hoop as possible, and then the left elbow, you just want enough space for a shooting window. Now that left elbow isn't near as concerning, but when you get both of them flared out, it can cause some awkward spin like I'll show you right here. Another issue is that he's shooting too far to the right of his head. That lowers his release point and it makes it easier to contest the shot. And then lastly, he's loading his wrist way too late. His wrist isn't loaded, meaning it's fully ready to shoot and release the ball until really about the last moment before it would cause really major problems. I'm not sure if you've heard of Duke, but it's no slouch of a basketball program, so they got to work when he got there. You can see his base is a little bit narrower, but first that right elbow is in a lot more than it was in those clips that I was just showing. You can also see that he's shooting more from his forehead, and then that wrist is slightly less loaded. And just this week, I saw a video on YouTube that showed him shooting in a workout, and I couldn't believe the progression that he's had since leaving Duke. And before I show that, you obviously love basketball and this kind of content, so give me a follow if you have a second. I'm not shocked he shot poorly in Summer League because there's so many changes that he's making to his shot. Look at how much he's narrowed his base and tightened his shooting window. And in this clip, look at how parallel that elbow is to the hoop. It's basically pointing right at it. And he's loading that wrist quite a bit earlier. So out of all these things that were glaring issues with his shot, he's starting to address every one of them. So why do I think he's going to be great? Well, in the course of about a year and a half to go from this to this is really impressive. He's just the kind of gym rat that's dedicated to improvement even when it's uncomfortable.